nuclear developer, something unprecedented. Everybody greenwashed into new initiatives. Fuel cycle staged out, private floor all clinical. Fast track startup, make the risk look trivial. Test floor, shield wall, all the boys try. So baptized, DOE night lives, everybody so dead-eyed. Pilot run, first of a kind, sell it for a limited time. Critical by July, what price Anderson act like? Direct access to national nuclear expertise. Everybody to come, whole scene radioactive. Press shots, make the waste photogenic. Dress code, make disaster anthropogenic. Launchpad USA, wide scale commercial deployment. Whole crew run D, say left, stay sleep. Nuclear launchpad, dead concepts, investors wrestling. Fast track enrichment innovation. Mox, fuel in my car. Come on baby, get strapped up. INL out back, haul yard operational. Authorization chain, all optics intentional. Hot cell, sealed bay, whole mood, look commercial. Bury what you can't solve, then rename it essential. Fuel bay, boys, paper suits, dead optics, close circuit monitor, whole process like narcotic. Launch out on my lips, make the rollout sound harmless. If the whole world pees later, they don't even want to face it. Red lane, low tone, everybody too ready. Talking like a half-life, only hurts if you let a new core. Old waste stream, but Britain stay heavy. If it all goes first critical, they'll just call it legendary. Launchpad USA, commercial deployment. Whole crew run D, say left, stay sleep. Nuclear launchpad, dead concepts, investors wrestling. Fast track enrichment innovation. Knox, fuel in my car. Come on baby, get strapped up. No one say waste stream, no one say routine, Vincent. And everybody says cool, clear is clean. Nobody wanna notice dry.
That's so good. Imagine if the nuclear industry steals them away from us. They start writing pro-nuclear music like that. How many views would he have on that now? 6 million, 12 million? I'm just making fun. I know better to read, obviously. You should too. Yeah, well, I was playing around with the poll. I don't know what the frig I should do here. I guess reflected. I got like a note here. Is it so much? Originally, it was too much to ask, obviously, right? And I was like, no, that's just everybody would say that. Be more organic, Dana. Is it so much to ask Greenpeace and the Sea Shepherd to tell the world the food chain is gone and the whales and you are next? I was like, I'll post it. I'll post it. What's wrong with these whales, doctor? Well, I don't know. We got to do a necropsy on them, an animal autopsy. We got to get all you a couple hundred feet back. All you plebes, you beans, a couple hundred feet back. Yeah. No problem. So this is the anniversary. Day 5, is it? We got it in a row. I'm pretty proud of myself, actually. It's been a hellish 5 days. We done a 12-hour video. I thought it was 16 hours, but apparently we done a 12-hour video last night, not 16. Mandela effect, Dana. New problems and challenges plague Fukushima. That fell into the fuel pool. In early spring, they moved parts of the crane that fell into the fuel pool of reactor number 3. Wow. That's quite the trick. Scary, right? Now, unless the the crane was half a mile above the reactors. I can't see how it could have fell into the fuel pool when the fuel pool fell into Fukushima. So that's reactor 3 explosion. That's from 30 miles away. We do have a video, and it doesn't matter because that's the stump. So imagine if your house was a 19-story, 65-meter, 150 feet, 150 foot tall skyscraper, right? That's 19-story, 150 tall buildings are skyscrapers. Anyway, you're partying on vacation on your yacht and everything, and your manager calls up and says, I'm going to send you a picture of your building. There's been some minor damage. Don't worry, I got plasterers and everybody coming in tomorrow. So when you look at that building, do you think they can fix that with some plasterers, or do you think that the architects and engineers, say if this is not a nuclear meltdown, for instance, do you think the architect and engineers would say, yeah, we'll just cut off the beams there and we'll just tie into them and we'll get her back up for you? They'll say, no, it's just a stump. You can't build on a stump. You're like, oh, yeah, you can do it. You say, well, you're fired. We're going to get another architect and engineer. Obviously, you're insane. Well, meet Waldo. This character, Matthew Walls. He's just a reminder, this was Stanford University, I believe. Now, Stanford University, believe it or not, got an absurd amount of nuclear experts and academics, nuclear professors and nuclear PhDs. And then they got Matthew Walls. Why would he be the prominent person in the Fukushima response from Stanford University? That question haunts me. No, he's not a nuclear scientist, but the university is full of them, PhDs and scholars and academics. They got they got 90 years of academics they can pull out for Fukushima to explain Fukushima, to tell us about Fukushima, to teach us about Fukushima, to give us that insight, that great wisdom. Instead, we get Matthew Walls from Stanford University a week after. Now, you can watch the whole video if you're a sucker for punishment. Just come over to my playlist. Because I'm a sucker, so maybe you are too. Who knows? Oh, wait a second. I produced the damn thing. That's perfect.
You said the world needs power.
Starts off with some great music, too. That's not what I meant to do. So out of Stanford University, what I'd done was I took their original response, originally published, Stanford University. How come there's not a link there? Oh, there probably is somewhere. Should have been a link there anyway. It's not hard to figure out. There's a MIT and Harvard University was their original replies. It was really shocking, and that's why I'm showing you that playlist. Is it too much to ask Greenpeace and the Sea Shepherd to tell the world the food chain is gone, that the whales and you are next? Because this is Matthew Walls. And I'm going to butcher names because I can't really remember off the top of my head.
Once you start putting in salt water, because that's all you have handy.
Now, this is 2011. They brought him in on a webcam rather than get a professor that's sitting there. And so, if anybody knows anything about 2011, webcams were pretty rude. And the audio is the rudest. The audio sounds like he's on a laptop about 6 feet away from the microphone. You tell me he doesn't. I'll shut up and get it away. But I want you to think about sulfur peroxide hydrogen buckyballs.
Once you start putting in salt water, because that's all you have handy, you have an additional problem, which is you're not removing heat from the salt water. You're actually boiling away the water to keep it cool. It's called feed
You're boiling off the water.
and bleed. It's like you had a pot of boiling eggs on the stove, and for some reason you couldn't turn the stove off, so you kept putting in more water. All of that heat is going up as steam. You're concentrating the salt. Well, the salt is going to start to mess things up. The salt is going to start to block things up. Now, we have an additional problem here, which is they managed to overpressurize the whole system in the first few hours. You see the things labeled jet pump on either side. There are recirculation pumps that are actually located a little lower down towards the bottom than this schematic indicates. And they blew the seals on those, which means you've got reactor water leaking out of the vessel into the primary containment, and possibly you've got...
They got the worst audio imaginable. They got people making rackets in the background. You can hear chairs getting picked up and slammed down. Like, they could have used a telephone and then married it up to the video feed and have incredible audio. It's Stanford University. If Stanford University has movie departments, they're producing a hell of a lot of Hollywood's producers, filmmakers, and everything, but they can't get it reasonable for the biggest event in human history. And in the audience, of course, was well seated.
Bits of fuel that have been atomized or broken up into suspension. So we're starting to spread our fission products, all the things that the uranium was broken up into, the highly radioactive stuff, the cesium, the strontium, the iodine, etc. We're starting to spread that over the whole plant. Go on to the next slide, please.
Going to spread it over the whole plant. Go on to the next slide. And they don't show you the slide, of course. So you're going to spread it all over the plant. It's, why would you put Matthew Walls? Why? We ask ourselves that a lot. And if we ever get the answer, I'll make a video and tell you. Yeah, Colette was asking, was this my longest live stream? So I'm going to go over to the comment section. Trolls were pretty rough on me last night. The nuclear industry, when they call me up and get vicious with me, should call the cops on them. I mean, let me give you their phone number. Vicious fucking scum. Some revenge. Hang on. Disgusting parasites threatening me. No. There it is. Attacked me during the live show. Go on. 213-433-3090. Dirty, disgusting parasite. Tough guy. Call up an old guy, busted up and barely walk. Goat. Ex-commercial diver suffering from the bends for 2 decades. Yeah, he's a tough guy. That's what that guy is. Me so tough. All right, let's keep her going here. Let's get on track. So Greenpeace and Sea Shepherd. Should we sue them for not trying to protect the whales? Does it work that way? Can you do that? Could you get a lawyer to take that? So this is the stump of Medusa. We affectionately know it as Medusa. Can I put the number in the chat? I don't think I should. Yeah, I don't think it matters, does it? Is YouTube going to screw me over if it does that? I mean, he was vicious. Whoever they are, they're a team. Yeah, why not? I'll put that in the chat. I mean, they were threatening me. And viciously, too. I was vicious. So, just in case something happens to me, I want the police to go check this number. because they've been stalking me for a long time. So let's put their fucking number up there. There you go, Pinhead. Your number's up there. You're a star now. Oh. Double check that. That's a win. 213-433-3090. Attacked me during my live show yesterday. And was vicious. And I said, well, I tried to talk reason to him. I said, well, I provide the documentation for all of my assertions. And he said, you're a scammer. You made it all up. I said, you think I made all that stuff up? He said, yeah. I said to myself, bona fide idiot. You can go to I appreciate, that you think so highly of me that I have so much skill I can cook up pictures like this. I appreciate that. Because I've been showing these pictures now for 15 years. The entire nuclear core ejected into the environment. See, it's not me. I'm not the guy, dear Mr. Terrorist Monster, who wants to do nasty shit to me. The entire nuclear core was injected into the environment. The entire nuclear core. And just for kicks, let me give it Calm Down Charlie's last number for something to do too. Seeing as we're on a roll. In fact, every time they do it to me now, we'll give you the number. That's a great idea. 305-515. 5877. Let's Calm Down Charlie's number. Let me put that up on the screen. So that's Calm Down Charlie's number right there. The other number didn't come up? Oh, there it is. I'm stupid. And the other number was the vicious scum last night, 213-433-3090. And Stalker for the last decade, 305-515-5877. Yeah, that's him. Calm Down Charlie. Everybody knows Calm Down Charlie. I got videos over there. You can watch it, that monster. Just come over to my videos and scroll around a little bit. Operation Long Jump, there it is right there. With the camera in the background. Operation Long Jump, Japan's government threatens me over Fukushima. On the video. In the video. On the phone. I'm tired of everybody attacking me. I'm providing the documentation. What fucking more do you want? You should sue your mom and dad for not getting you smart enough to appreciate what I fucking done, what I'm showing you. Whatever school you went to, you should get your fucking money back, because if you can't comprehend what I'm showing you and you think it's me, you just don't want me doing it, right? It's more like it. I'm just trying to be funny. And true. Just tired of people attacking me. I'm not the bad guy. Nuclear industry is. Can't you see that? Are you fucking stupid or something? So, what part about this is insane? You got thousands of one-ton bags of radioactive fallout. You're in a nuclear wasteland where you're not allowed to be only just grow food to ship to Canada, United States. Should call this the comedy show tonight. Tell you the truth. He's not even wearing his paper suit, which means it's for sale. Right? You get where I'm coming from? You hear me? Look, I'm not the one that... I'm not making it up. I didn't Photoshop the medias and the videos and everything. I didn't put it up on their websites that they were saying they were on top 150 feet above the stump. I didn't do that. They done that. I'm not the bad guy. A nuclear plant worker fell into a reactor pool and somehow survived. See, these stories don't tell... When you put them out, they're meant to promote nuclear. They don't tell the whole story. And he got his paycheck, and they gave him compensation, and he had a kid a year later, and the kid turned out to be a princess and a ballerina. And it's actually a happy story. Senior urged to eat the Fukushima, like this story here's a happy story. Because the guy who bought the rice, or got the rice for free, made a fortune. Senior urged to eat Fukushima rice to help farmers and protect young people. Seniors, you should eat the radiation. Well, why not you put it in 45-gallon drums and store it in sarcophagus? Because you're going to eat it. You're in an old age home. You're going to eat what we put in front of you, right? Okay. That's what they're doing. Seniors urge, wait till you hear the story. This is Fukushima anniversary, March 20th, 2012. The very next year when the radioactive food was the hottest, baby. Let's put all the old fuckers down. That's what they were saying. It was big sake parties, endless sake parties for the scum. It's such a sad story. Seniors urge to eat the Fukushima radioactive rice to help the murderous farmers and protect the stupid young people, the complacent young people, I should say. There was, I can't remember, 2015, 2016, there was 150,000 sites like this with 30 million bags back then. They never stopped picking them up, but they still never got any more bags. The invisible bags. This is a story. This is the major Japanese Times. This is the major media in Japan. It's the major media in Japan. The next year, and just after the first anniversary, a Tokyo senior is waging an individual effort to get the elderly people to eat the rice grown in Fukushima Prefecture to help the local farmers struggling with rumors that their crops are radioactive, to make sure the grain isn't consumed by more vulnerable younger generations. Isn't consumed by more vulnerable younger generations. Because it's dangerous. So give it to grandma and grandpa who worked their whole friggin' life so you can have a job in the country, and then murder them with the most insidious way possible by feeding them radiation. You tell me that's not nuts? This is the prince, I think, and the prince is several years later, because I accidentally put that picture in there, and they cruised within something like 7 or 8 miles of Fukushima plant. It was a big deal. And he's seen some of the bags. We don't get to see them, of course. We can't prove it's them, but why don't you just go to Fukushima and shake some of those guys with the tattoos arms? The elderly must eat the Fukushima rice. The elderly must eat Fukushima rice. They gotta eat it. This guy, this murderer, serial killer, 68 years old, told the Japan Times, the biggest media in Japan, on Monday, compared with young people, the elderly are believed less prone to the harmful effects, to the lethal doses of the radiation. The farmland they're growing it on is still filled with 1-ton bags at these times, right? The whole country, you can't, like, picking up topsoil is not decontamination or something. There's only 3% of the land mass is that soil, and then the rest of it is forest. And so as soon as it blows wind or rain, that stuff is just going to end up right back in the same spot. I mean, like, this is absurd to suggest you can clean up a place by picking up 1-ton bags, first off. But 30 million 1-ton bags, pretty convincing, right? They just left them there for years and years and years. But the average person doesn't understand. It doesn't mean it's okay. Hi-Ray had entered a sales contract with a rice wholesaler, with a serial killer who sells rice in Fukushima Prefecture. He's calling on the seniors to place orders by fax or online via social networking sites. Serial killers. So the social networking sites knew this was evil. Make no friggin' mistake about it. Including Mixi and Facebook. I want to make sure people know I am not doing this for business purposes, but as a volunteer. But I just want to help kill everybody. Like, I can't even comprehend what I'm about to show you. It was real. And no, I didn't make it up myself. The orders handled by her I had amounted to 1,700 kilograms. Wow. 3,600 pounds or so. So far, he said, about 700 kilograms was bought by an elderly care facility in Tokyo of this radioactive rice. That, however, is a minimum amount compared with 240,000 ton annual rice yield. Excuse me. So, like, you shouldn't be growing food there. Anybody who's growing food should be shot on sight. You should have snipers all over that area shooting people growing food in a nuclear wasteland because they're serial killers in overdrive. And yeah, it might take a year or a week or a month or several years to kill the person who consumed the food from the fresh, ongoing nuclear wasteland. I can never see. I think the problem is I can't rationalize how this can be acceptable. It's acceptable in their eyes. Just let me bring this up here. 240,000 tons. Japan's metric. So 240,000 times 2,200 pounds a ton. That's just one prefecture. Food was banned from 14 prefectures. What does that number say? To all my detractors that all you gotta do is make videos, show me where I'm wrong. That'll chase me away, right? Threatening me is not gonna chase me away. It's gonna do the opposite. Just gonna dig in, become more prolific. 528 pounds, 528,000 pounds a year. That's a lot of rice, right? How about 528 million pounds a year, just from a single prefecture that they're acknowledging, that they're barely acknowledging. They're lowballing the numbers over 1 billion pounds, and it always has been. And they didn't slow down. So. About 700 kilograms right away was bought on Facebook by an elderly care facility in Tokyo. You got any idea how evil that acts? Let's get all the old age homes to go out and buy fucking cyanide and make some rice patties and feed it to the old people who worked all their life to build a country and let them steal it in the most hideous way by giving them radiation illness, by depriving their last years after working themselves raw so the inbreed scum can grow up and destroy everything. How sickening. And this is the mainstream media pumping this out there on the front page. So just because some people are stupid, that's a picture of somebody stupid. He's better than everybody. He's smarter than everybody. Can't have him. He can't not even go to the friggin' ground zero and be that complacent, deprived of any critical thinking skills. That, however, is a minimum amount compared to the Fukushima 240,000 ton annual rice yield, which we know, we've got it here somewhere. We'll show you it's over 1 billion pounds. And there's 14 prefectures where the food was banned, all of them producing about 1 billion pounds. Where is that rice to now? And last year and the year before. And this is the first year, so this is the most hideous stuff conceivable. When you had all those reactors, the biggest byproduct is curium. This is just horrifying story. The most horrifying story imaginable. The most sickening. And they're bragging about the fact there's 240,000 tons a year. So come on, get your old age homes to call in. That's what they're saying there, right? Anybody, any schools out there? Every time there's a That was one of the sick things about Fukushima's farmers. Whenever there was, the victims somewhere, earthquake or some kind of natural phenomenon, and they have a lot of earthquakes in Japan, and they would send them just tons and tons of this free rice to help the people who were stuck in shelters. And it was like, you're just cruel, sickening, just sick stuff. But why is it their whole society is based on that? The rice harvested in the fall is normally sold out by February. Well, you got a nuclear meltdown. What are you doing farming in a nuclear wasteland when you picked up 30 million one-ton bags, scumbag? This year, 40% of the harvest was still in stock in February, which is horrifying. How many people did you poison worldwide with that amount of food? In Fukushima City, they put up 3,000 Geiger counters just to trick the people, 290,000 victims, into staying there. He said the reason he's doing it, not because he wants to help the farmers murder as many people as possible with the radioactive food, but also with the billions of pounds from those 14 prefectures, but also because he wants to make sure the elderly eat as much Fukushima rice as they possibly can to prevent the children from accidentally eating the grain. That is the most wicked, evil, scumbaggery, mass serial killing, murderous thing a country can do to the most vulnerable of society. They've sacrificed it all. And then instead of having at least a few years, they were exterminated by anthropogenic, man-made radioactive, hideous amounts in their diet every day. 100% on purpose. Well, serial killers on the worst, just outrageous. They've done this to the kids. The bento boxes for the children. They're eating it anyway. They were saying they were grown in other prefectures. The principals of the schools were and the hospitals and the administrators of the hospitals were cruelest people you'll ever hear about to the victims and their loved ones. There are no regulations, really, in a nuclear wasteland where you had 36 reactor cores melt down and 8 fuel pools at the top of 4 reactor buildings, because you had 3 decades of reactor cores stored up there. Parts of it anyway. And there's 5.5 reactor cores produced every decade. They're 3 decades old. We're lowballing it, but it's absurd because it's pure uranium, pure plutonium. Massive reactor cores, and that was spewed all over these farms. And they kept growing food because the nuclear industry is a lunatic industry. Just the most cowardly people you'll ever come across. The lunchbox is to list the origin of the rice they use, and this may lead to children eating the rice. The whole country participated in the cover-up. They all done it to themselves because of pressure from the nuclear industry. They had 54 reactors or something. So these are serious money machines for the communities too. So they were able to. It's a fine example of what humans will do when faced with catastrophic. So they all shut down, is what we're seeing as humans. They were shutting down, and they were it was everywhere. They were overwhelmed. They were incapable of handling that kind of pressure. They're used to just punching in their ticket 8 hours a day, dog fucking at their job. And now they have to make decisions that they know, and there's nothing, they feel powerless or hopeless, and they go ahead and make these decisions that ends up each day poisoning tens of thousands or millions of people. And then, of course, that becomes the norm. And then we're up, say, 15 years down the road now. And it's been going smooth. Nobody ever mentions it. Nobody talks about it. Nobody points it out. Everybody shuts their fucking mouth and sits in silence. And along comes spider, not in the forest, but man-made objects, because they can't live in the forest anymore. Along comes a little spider. How evil have you got to be to even make that suggestion. Say, therefore, why don't the elderly, potential for suffering health damages from radiation is lower than it is for the kids, eat all of the Fukushima rice? Wow. Why wasn't this person picked up by the cops and put in a mental institution right away? Why did the media print that? Because you have somebody else saying it, right? We didn't say it. We're just reporting on it. How about doing some journalism, like forensic investigative journalism, and you would have come up with the conclusion this is criminal. You could still be held accountable because your name is on the story. Thank goodness. Farmers are required to check the radiation levels in their own rice. No, that's crazy talk. You mean the universities? No, the wackos, the weirdos, the farmers. Just want to play with the cow's tits and pig's tails. Just the farmers. My apologies to any farmers out there. That was rude. Don't worry, I don't just pick on farmers. Farmers are required to check the radiation levels. Let's see how that's going. How far are you away from the bag? 30 feet. Okay, we're good. Let's wrap this puppy up. None of them were in the famous paper suits. I hear on eBay you can get 6 cents for one of them. If you speak South Korean. Weirdos down there like to sniff paper suits used at Fukushima. This is the craziest picture. This is of the mainstream media in Japan. I think it was the Japan Times. And they were complaining how people were not giving Fukushima a chance. The farmers were working really hard and the food tastes really good. But you can't taste radiation, so it can't hurt you, right? That seems to be the logic worldwide. Well, I can't taste it. Tastes the same, Dana. And then, so what's up with Greenpeace and Sea Shepherd, Paul Watson's Society? How come they don't know I exist? How is that possible? Greenpeace blocked me on every one of their sites. And Greenpeace Canada, Greenpeace United States, Greenpeace Australia, Greenpeace New Zealand, Greenpeace Britain, Greenpeace. I would tweet him this picture and ask him to share it. I was like, no. We are not tweeting. In fact, you're banned, Dana. There was a memo went out there one morning. I'm sure it was, if that picture shows up, ban it. I got banned by all the Greenpeace. No, we can't have our members looking at that. And then, I sent open more accounts. That was back before when Twitter was free. And I sent them videos. I done that a lot. I got banned every time. But my original Dana Durnford, which is banned, by the way, on Twitter. Let's keep talking about the good stuff here. Don't worry, those farmers, they wash their hands before they do that, right? He's also a member of the Skilled Veterans Corps. Skilled, really. Clearly not skilled in nuclear. For Fukushima, a group consisting of elderly people who experienced working at the nuclear plant, so they're better than you and everybody else. Said another reason for promoting Fukushima rice is that he wants to gain support for residents, so he and other group members can be asked to work at the crippled Fukushima No. 1 plant so that younger, more vulnerable workers don't have to. Sounds like I'm listening to a thunderstorm. We got heavy rain down here today. It's like 12 degrees out there right now. It's going to be minus 14 tomorrow night, same time. We just came out of a wicked amount of snow. heavy rains for 4 or 5 days. It warmed up. It was freezing rain this morning on the way into the city to the doctors. And on the way out, it was like 4 degrees or something. Tonight, when I came in the studio, it was 12 degrees out there. Tomorrow night, it's going to be minus 14. And snowing, if we get 10 centimeters of snow. Between Friday night and Sunday morning or something. My foot's coming along good. If I do too much going, though, it backfires on me. I actually got up and walked like a normal person this morning. That was pretty impressive. That was pretty rough. I had the elephant foot on the goater. Groot. Old and broken, but I still got a few gigadees left to do yet. Won't be giving up anytime soon. They're nookies. The group had 675 members from 50s to 80s at the end of February. And anybody interested in buying the rice got to pay cash on delivery. 2 bowls of that might drop you dead anyway of a heart attack. To order sends a smile to blah, blah, blah. That's the Japan Times. Ruthless. So how can you have 54 nuclear reactors in your country and not know this is wrong? How can you have a nuclear meltdown of 36 reactor cores in 8 fuel pools and not know this is wrong? How do you get to be that ruthless anyway? Never mind, I don't want to know. If I want to know, I'll go ask Matthew Wall. or this guy. He'll sort me out. What have we got here? Let me see. Okay, let's talk about 1-ton bags for a little bit. My favorite subject for quite a few times every year. There are 30 million of them after all. That's Anna Clark. Hi, Anna Clark. Anna Clark is with the IAEA, right, Anna? Yeah, Dana. So Anna says everything is good. You just need the consent of the community, the public's trust. And that's why I'm here. Look at me. I'm going to say it looks like this, not like that. Oh, by the way, International Atomic Energy Agency is not a regulator, not in the position to judge or approve Japan's soil recycling project, Clark said. Noting the group's task to make sure Japan is in line with the IAEA safety standards on disposal. So their standards for disposal of radioactive waste is to grow food in it. And their standards are based on natural stuff, not man-made. So therefore, man-made can't be bad because it's equal to natural in their eyes. I can show you the stuff. I can show you the headlines. I got another funny one about that coming up, actually. How do you have 150,000 sites like this and then pretend you don't, and that everything is okay, and have a nice day. Playing past the parcel with Fukushima, March the 7th, 2016. I apologize. All over the mic there tonight. There should be 150,000 pictures of these 1-ton bags. There should be 150,000 pictures like this. And I guess I've started to suggest picking up 1-ton bags of radiation and then growing food right alongside of it proves now that it's safe. That's their logic, though, right? And most people are hypnotized by that, and they're like, you know, they're like some mouse or something, and there's a viper there, and they're both in tune in the viper. Whack! That's what the nuclear industry, and that's how it's treating you and manipulating you. So there was 30 million tons of radioactive waste will eventually be moved to yet another third level interim storage facility. 30 million tons. Oh, these bags, each bag is 1 ton. That's not a good picture. That's not a good picture. Each one of these bags is 2,200 pounds. So they deteriorate every 3 years, meaning, and the time of one area, right? But a fish, there's up to 30 million tons radioactive waste will eventually be moved to another. So it's already stored up in 1 ton bags all over the place. And in 2019, there was 105,000 sites of 1 ton bags. 105,000 sites. Or 105,000 farmlands. Chickadee China, Chinese chicken you have. And so the bags are round, not square. So why are they showing you this picture? They said they are found in parking lots in front of houses, and they show you this. And this is a tarp you would typically see, but that's not 1 ton bags. 1 ton bags don't look like the picture they're showing you. But that's the beauty of manipulation, right? The average person is not going to catch that. They're not going to say, well, because, they're going to say 105,000 sites like this. You'd be lucky if the smallest one looks like that, I can tell you right now. Because they're usually very vast sites, every one of these sites. They really aren't out there just... They'll be bringing bags for long areas around us. And like I said, they had 3,000 of these giggity counter, fake Geiger counters in microsieverts. None of them were in millisievers even, or sieverts. They had plumes going through the communities at 10, 12, 14 sievers, according to Harvard University. In their presentation, you can find that in my playlist, right? TEPCO's tungsten vest. Use of the vest was mentioned in passing by worker Happy. Happy said, while talking about the effort to clean off Unit 3, we're going to go and dust her down, Dana. Why do you got to be so difficult all the time, Dana? Well, because that's Unit 3. Am I wrong? This is something you're not just going to clean that off. Nobody cleaning that off. Right? That's offensive to suggest they're going to clean it off. Maybe I'm an idiot for caring, but these omissions, these misrepresentations, workers were wearing them to enter Unit 2 back in 2011. What? Arnie Gunnarsson says they were putting... hang on. Why did I always do it pick the hardest road? Why did I get into this stuff for? This stuff is always so much work. There we go. I like it though. Not hard to find Arnie. The likable Arnie. Imagine a twisted day. There he is. No fire. Is that the one I wanted? Oh, no, it's up there. Typical went in. Now, see that video right there, right there? I didn't get it perfect, but I put I shrunk his video down, put it in a depiction. I'm just going to zoom back out of the reactors where the fuel pool is still, because he's going to talk about that.
Unit 4 was damaged twice. It was damaged by all of the earthquakes that occurred, and it was also damaged by a series of explosions over the first week or two of the accident. So the building is structurally weakened. Now, Tokyo Electric's acknowledged that. They went in May and June.
Fuel pool's 150 feet above that. So I put these pictures in his video. And play it out.
Of last year. This is more than a year ago. And put an enormous number of extra structural supports directly under the fuel pool to keep the bottom of the pool from breaking through.
He does that a lot, don't he? The fuel pools are at the top of the building, not the side of his building. The bottom of the building, even if it wasn't the bottom of the building. So what that story was meant to back up this story, where they're on top of the fuel pool at the same building. So when you see that building right there, you see like how it was knocked out all the way to the ground over there, and look down on the ground, it's all rubble everywhere, and they're putting this contraption above it. It's just meant to mimic the interior. So when you look above them, you can see the big shapes of that last one. But look at the building. The guts are hanging out of it, on top of that. So for Arnie to say that they're on top of a building that doesn't even exist rules him out, right? You can't trust him no more. And saying the workers are gone inside of reactor 2, it's not a long stream tonight. I just wanted to put out another video because it's the anniversary, and I want the world to know that this is still important. And it's not too late to get informed. Because it's very deceiving, reactor 2, when you compare it to the other reactors. Like they're insane. So reactor 2, let me just try to bring that to madness. On one side is reactor 1, it detonated and lost 9 reactor cores. On the other side is reactor 3, it detonated and lost 9 reactor cores. So let's say nothing happened to reactor 2 first off. Well, because it's right alongside of this one here, all of the fuel pool's reactor cores came right down on top of it, right? It's right alongside of it. That's reactor 1 over there, and reactor 3, the one that exploded, is right here. So you couldn't go in the building for a few reasons. One of them is the core melted through the containment, which meant the fuel pool. We know the fuel pool baked off because you see these types of connotations where the fuel rods at the number 2 reactor were fully exposed. Third explosion feared. No, not feared, guaranteed. Right? It's appropriate to put them in there, but it's like Arnie Gunnarsson saying, they melted down, but TEPCO went in and put structural supports under the fuel pool of reactor 4. Right? That makes sense until you look at reactor 4 and the fuel pool is at the top. So why are they some serious nuke food are going under? Japan government to use seafood and goods made in Fukushima and other nuclear wastelands to develop aid to developing nations. As aid, the government is going to send seafood and stuff made in a nuclear wasteland, the 3 nuclear wastelands, as aid to developing nations. Guess who's got their finger in that pot? Oh, using celebrities also to appeal to the safety of a Japanese product. You can trust him, he's a celebrity. You see him on TV, right? Yeah, that's right. I done the mortal thing. Wash my face before I came in the studio. I'm gonna keep that oil off your face, right? If you You're poking your fingers up there. Come back, hunt you. Okay. So using celebrities to appeal to the safety of the Japanese products. September 19, 2011. Okay, all right. But what about this one here? 1 billion yen. This was the foreign minister was asking for 221 million US dollars in the third supplementary budget. And they read like a sublime lesson in irony. And so 1 billion yen. 1 billion yen is almost $9 million to give to for inviting, because you got to roll out the red carpet. They got to be private jets. They got to be the swankiest hotel with the youngest. Lots of sake, lots of party, lots of comfort girls for the IAEA experts for their advice on how to wind down the Fukushima #1 nuclear plant accident. How to wind down. Well, we got some friends in America, Europe, and Australia. America, they'll help you out. Just sign that dotted line. $9 million. Japan is the third biggest donor on top of that to UN, right? To the IAEA facet of UN. UN has many. So I, unlike Sea Shepherd or Greenpeace, who blocked me and left me all to my own, we put together an operation, and to prove we were stupid, we went out for almost 6 years and beat the shit out of myself year after year, while Greenpeace and Sea Shepherd laughed at me, mocked me, and everybody else in the global arena. You're an idiot. You're a tool, is what they said. And so the species to your left have disappeared, and so we went back for 5 extra years to see if the species to the left recovered. They didn't.
And then I'm going to come back and call this number live on air.
I was on the sailboat, right? We told the Zodiac.
Again, we're a small operation. Elizabeth is doing what
I was crossing
and
27,000
calling
miles.
government agencies about giving us statements, government statements about concerns of fallout on the
And I
West
got
Coast. We put reports out on that on
Bluetooth
Saturday.
speaker.
Got picked up by Rush Sunday and Monday.
Get a load of this guy. I put my hand out, see if he'd come over with a piece of cheese, because I seen he was interested in my cheese.
Wow.
So I busted it open. Let's do that one more time. I busted it open, held it up. See if he'd come over and take it out of my hand. It's Grey Jay.
Wow.
He came over and took it right out of my hand. Little devil, boy. So when I was supposed to be 30,000 insects at the high tide line. Sea Shepherd and Greenpeace were nowhere to be seen. They'd never done nothing. They never looked at anything. They never quantified or denied or they never done anything. Not a thing was done. Post-Fukushima, 100 species total. Like, I was being generous, because if I found 4 or 5, that got counted. Instead of finding 4 or 5 billion, I only found 4 or 5. So it should look like that over there, but it looks like this everywhere. Greenpeace and Sea Shepherd, they could have done so much for humanity. They would have been such a hero. They would have raised 10 times more money than they have raised in their entire existence if they had to tackle that, right? They waited. Now there's nothing left out there. You can't go out there now. It's just one of the biggest disappointments, I think, is the fact they didn't do that, right? They didn't do any research. They didn't go out there and secretly research or something. Just cold-hearted, eh? I'm heartbroken. I miss the species. I would love to go see the species rather than dream about small modular reactors, right? Because that's another dream. Dreaming about species that don't exist anymore is just as productive as dreaming about small modular reactors. They got 3 small modular reactors, great big stupid things. The Canadian ones is the biggest and the stupidest ones. 24-story building, 240 feet. A 24-story building. They're going to hide that, half of it underground. You ever been in a 12-story underground building before? Any idea how stupid that actually is? That nuclear, no, you got to give them credit. They'll engineer it. They got deep fission is out there now digging their pit. They're going to dig down for a mile. They're going to put the reactor core down in there. And when they're finished with it, they're just going to bury it. It'll go out on its own in 1,000 years. Don't worry about it. And I never mocked them, even though I should have. That whole time, their whole inception. It was a daughter and a father, and she was very active. And all of a sudden, deep fission showed up, which was with her father. And I should have known that there was something going on for her to be getting any prominence for all those years. 9 years on, the stated cleanup at Fukushima nuclear plant. So it took 9 years to go before they went back into the control room. 9 years. But in 2013, they went into the nuclear meltdown itself and got all the fuel out of the fuel pool. And they didn't have to wear half that equipment as they're wearing here. 9 years later, in the control room far away from the nuclear meltdown. So 9 years before they went back into the control room. Is that like a love story or something? That's pretty cool. Yeah. Anyone entering the control room got to wear special equipment. Dana? I noticed. That's cool. You're cool, man. You're cool. AFP was granted rear access to the reactor control rooms and other parts of the plant for an update in the months before the Tokyo Olympic. Damaged reactors. I like the little models here. Decontamination incomplete. Everything else good. Nobody should ever went back. Everybody should have left for half the country. Past Tokyo. Everything north of Tokyo should be abandoned. It's acceptable anytime, even in 100 years, it's still acceptable to abandon those places. You can never fix that. Seen from afar, the buildings housing reactor 1 to 4, the most damaged of the 6 at the site, seems to have been almost fully repaired. Let me go backwards. The most damaged of the 6 at the site seem to have almost been fully repaired. So this was the 9th anniversary, suggesting they were repaired. They repaired them. No, it's not a nuclear meltdown. It's not a nuclear meltdown, Dana, so they repaired it. Journalists wouldn't lie to you. That's Matt. It's just trying to be rude right now. So they took that, and they took these destroyed buildings and the stumps, and then they turned it into that. I'm so hard about that, Dana, you can't wrap your mind around it. The guys who were running this were really, really good. They played a lot of pinko. But up close, the damage is clear, with walls missing and debris still on the ground. Yeah, they spent, it's hilarious. It was $44 million to build this contraption. A robot, I'm sorry. It's a robot. I know, it's a robot. I know, man, it's all good. It's all good, man. I'm sorry. Robot. Well, in Canada, we call it contraption. No, I'm sorry, man. No, I'm sorry. I know. Robot. I'm sorry, I won't say it again. It's not a contraption. Despite that's probably what my grandfather would call it. What kind of contraption, idiot machine is that? So this is a robot. And it goes out and drops down this hook. And it's a little different than most hooks. It looks like this. And then the hook goes... Keep watching. Don't fade on me yet. Give me a second. Bear with me. I'll make it fun. I'll make it interesting, actually. I'll make it interesting doing that. Hang on. La, 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 la. I should have put that in the other one. It's worth it. Bear with me. I get luckier this time. Oh, I got lucky. Less than a gram. I'll play this in a second. I want you to try to wrap your mind around that story. I can't. I hope you can. So this contraption was used to go into a building so to get samples of the debris so scientists can figure out what kind of technology the pinheads need to extract the fuel from the reactor core. Right? And so they wouldn't go there and get it alongside it, because it's going to be the same thing, the same reactor, same fuel, right alongside of each other. No, not at all. By the way, that's the real reactor 4, not that one. I'm sorry. All 5 of these are officially reactor 4. And they, despite what you see with your own eyes, are 150 feet above that beautiful stump there. Right alongside is reactor 2. They put that, went all the way in, and they dropped them down there in the dark, in the blind. It was scary, very, very careful. They lower it down, and then with their eyes closed, they go, and then they reel her back up. Next guy yells out, reel her back up. Next guy reels it, reel her back up. And it's not working the way I wanted it, in my head of my head. So this thing gets reeled all the way up, and the roadie bot pulls it all. Now, of course, now it's so radioactive, he can never stand up there again because everything becomes lethal doses. If they actually got anything. But they did get less than a gram. I know what you're saying. I don't believe you. They must have got more than that. No, less than a gram. In fact, it was such a bizarre story. James Lucid made a song about it. One of the prettiest songs you're ever going to hear. It's only a short one. I'm going to do that because you can hear my voice is starting to... I got to go out and gargle some fucking dragon piss or something. Because, yeah, I got the last one on the planet. I'll be right back. Let me jack it up a bit. This is in honor of less than a gram from that building.
Right beside old Unit 3 sits a shell-marked waste you see. Tanks of resin stacked with care, holding what the pumps caught there. TEPCO field 2 plans to show. One says yes, the other no. Each awaits a coming call. Neither clears the path at all.
Get underway, decommission down the line, mid-century's hopeful sign. 880 tons remain, none retrieved from 3's domain. They debate what space to claim, still the Buildington stays the same.
Yeehaw. That's why you got to keep your headphones on, see? Until the song is over. Otherwise, you might be talking to a dead mic. We've done that. Guilty. Up close, the damage is clear with walls missing, debris still on the ground. I can show you pictures that'll blow your mind after they put the contraptions on top of them. Those entering the control room got to wear clothing designated for the yellow zone, protective suits, 3 pairs of gloves, 3 pairs of socks and boots, and a full face mask and a helmet. So if you're going to go into this building, nobody entered. It's so dangerous for 9 years. See, if I don't show it to you, then it just doesn't seem real, does it? Tell the truth, don't seem real. Don't seem real. You know, it don't seem real. 9 years on, the state of the cleanup at the Fukushima plant. He finally go into the room. It was horrifying. He almost peed himself. He told me himself. Are intended to limit radiation dust entering the body. So they got full gear, everything. These don't protect against the radiation passes through the clothing, though. They tell you that after if you keep reading. So 3 pairs of gloves, 3 pairs of socks and boots, a full face mask, a helmet. But they don't protect against radiation. It passes through all of this. So what's a paper suit going to do? Anybody want to explain for me, please? Huh? If that can't protect you, then how is the paper suit going to protect you? Right, so they turned you into a fucking idiot. Oh, we got the paper suit on, but don't worry, I had 3 pairs of gloves on. The 3 pairs of gloves don't protect you against the radiation. Going to limit dust entering the body. Hang on. This is a fascinating story. These don't protect against the radioactive radiation which passes through the clothing. Yeah, but I got 3 pairs on. I gotta take all of that so I can move it. It's so absurd, right? The radiation still passes through you, but you don't get the dust in there, so you'll be okay. You might not be able to have kids, or they might not look like other kids, but see, forget about that part. Or contaminating your clothing. If the energy is coming passing through the clothing, then it's passing through everything. Everything becomes radioactive. Like you're talking about energy passing through your clothing, then it's gonna start melting your organs. Right? Because if it's putting off such a shine, that is going through your clothing. But you haven't been in there for 9 years, but. But, there's always a but, right? But if you're in a paper suit, right alongside the reactor, you're best going. If you're working at the top of the reactor, which of course you can't do because your organs will melt, you're best going. As long as you get your paper suit So you got a paper suit on, then you got 3 pairs of gloves, and 3 pairs of socks. 3 pairs of gloves, 3 pairs of socks to protect you from the gammas, the alphas, the neutrons, the betas, the X-rays that are going on there. But you can't protect them, so they protect you for the dust. It doesn't protect you from anything else because the radiation passes through your clothing. So 3 pairs of gloves. It's just meant to psychologically make you incompetent. Rain and water used to cool the reactor. Reactors continue to generate like 170 cubic meters, 170,000 liters. Well, a half-inch garden hose, 3/8-inch garden hose rather, at 30 pounds per square inch is going to produce it's about 140 liters a day. 140 cubic meters, rather. 140,000 liters. Highly radioactive. So if you put that in the filter, the Alps, If you put that into a filter, then the filter becomes highly radioactive. Hey, you won first prize. 5 buckets of horse shit. Horse shit, you gotta bring your own lids. You gotta take it with you. So you can't filter this stuff. Like the ALPS system claimed. It's absurd. The ALPS, for starters, wasn't built, allegedly completed till 2015. Not allegedly, we got the documentation of it. And if you go to my playlist, look at the tanks section, right? You'll get that documentation. 170 cubic meters, so a garden hose. Now the reactor, a typical reactor needs, when it's running, 4,500 tons of water, 1 million gallons a minute, 6,450,000 one-ton bags of water a minute, 1,000 liters, 1,100 liters in Japan. It's a row of one-ton bags wrapped around the entire planet, basically. Because they're about 6 feet by 6 feet by 6 feet, right? You can do the math. Why do I always got to do all the work? Contaminated water at the plant passes through a filtration system. So now it's contaminated. Up here is highly contaminated. Up here. Highly radioactive liquid. So you're spraying water over fuel, so it's the water is going to be full of fuel particulates. You can't put them together in the filter because you're going to have a chain reaction, a criticality. Not only that, you can never change the filter because you're talking about after a couple of hours at best, a half an hour maybe, or a couple of hours, say. Let's be generous and say the entire day, which is absurd to suggest it's going to take that long, but there's 1,000 sieverts in your filter. 3 sieverts will melt your organs. What's 1,000 going to do to you? And we're talking from very long distances. Now, even if the filter is 6 feet thick lead, which is not, because you couldn't change them, you couldn't manipulate them, you could. There's so many, right? That you can't step over the lines that's bringing the water there, because it's pumping it up from the basement, allegedly, of the reactors. You can never, if there's any electronics there, it's going to die right away, for starters. Technically, they don't show any evidence of stuff they're claiming, but that they can actually accomplish things, right? Radiation has a lot of attributes that are never taken into account in their version of what's going on. And so you're talking about enormous temperatures, so do you really think you won't boil off 170,000 liters at the same time? So, like, if you've got something 2, 3, 4,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures, these will get up to 9,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures, and you're spraying a garden hose at it, you're not going to stand there, for starters. You're not going to be in proximity of it, of the building, let alone the source point. If there is a source point left, or depending on which reactor you're talking about, it's very suspect that reactor 3 ejected everything right into the building. Some of it deep into the building, don't get me wrong. And don't forget you got 4 reactors with 8 fuel pools, and each one of them might have, realistically, 8 reactor cores, because they got nowhere else to store it. Japan has no repository. Their fuel pools were the repository. In 30-year-old buildings, you're producing 5.5 a year, a decade of reactor cores. Yeah, you're sending some to Sellafield, you're sending some to France, but not all of it. There's no record of that. Excuse me. Rain and water used to cool. I'm still going, 127. Rain and water used to, heavy rains tonight, heavy rains tomorrow, heavy rains this evening. Most of the snow is gone, just like that. Bizarre. I mean, cooking hot out there right now, 12 degrees. And then tomorrow will be the same thing. Heavy winds. And then tomorrow night it's going to get down to minus 14 and start freezing and snowing. Just can't win. Spring, come on, spring. It is what it is, right? We'll get through it. I can't do jack shit anyway. I'm suffering. for like 5 weeks, now 6 weeks. I'm finally starting to come around. That was a bizarre run I had there, isn't it? Big thing is get back here. This is the most important thing. And it's the anniversary. We need to contribute as much as we can. The contaminated water at the plant passes through a filtration system known as the ALPS to reduce the radioactivity. So therefore, it's incredibly radioactive. Any water, like you got water coming in at 2 sieverts a liter, coming out the other side at 10 sieverts a liter, 20 sieverts a liter, 100 sieverts a liter, because the longer the filter is there, the worse the radiation coming out the other side is going to be. It's the stupidest thing you can do. It's the most ridiculous thing you would do. It's the most unrealistic thing you could do. It's scientifically impossible. It's categorically not true that they're doing this. It doesn't work that way. Okay, hang on. I'll bring you some evidence. And had all the tanks built in 2013. 1,000 of them. And the 1,000 included big ones, small ones, medium ones. There's a lot of small ones. Oh, I get that somewhere else. There we go. See, one of my hard drives I can't type into for some reason. Who knows with the industry? Like, there's so much going on in just that little moment. It's absurd. The water still contains a significant amount of tritium. Everything is tritiated, and they don't even have the courage to call it tritium-3H anymore, do they? I don't even know where I would have put that. There's so many ways to go here. You got lethal filters. Just let me go backwards. My brain is not supposed to be still. I'm not supposed to still be streaming. The idea yesterday, which I think for the most part was a win, was just to create a presence for people that are searching on the world's most popular website on the planet, YouTube, which automatically formats your video to play on any device compared to every other site. That's a win. Always has good streaming. That's a win. They hate my fucking guts. That's on the bad side. It comes with the territory. Sometimes. All right, let me try here. I apologize. Here we go. Help system's finally working. August 9th. Well, not really, but... whole story's crazy. Here's that one and this one. I think I can get all that in one. Fukushima contaminated problem worsens. 2014, August 9th. The disaster site has struggled with water decontamination for years and announced they think they finally have the ALPS system operational. Yeah, but it was 2015 before they said, we surrender. I mean, we got it. Maniacs. So, I apologize because I goof around sometimes. Sometimes I goof around and people don't know how to take it. It's totally understandable. This is the ALPS system. What's the date on that? February 11, 2013, they were just starting to build it. Right, so they had all the tanks. built at this point. But they never had a filtration system. Now, I counted tanks. The most we ever counted was 750. We have an awful lot of pictures. This is the ELP decontamination system under construction. It's not me. I'm not saying this. But clearly, just looking at it, you can appreciate that, right? So in August, they announced they're hoping to get it August, September, October, November, December. And, late 2014, the accident happened March 11, 2011. So March 2011, March 2012, March 2013, March 2014, August. So 3.5 years later. But the reality of it was they didn't get it operational allegedly until 2015. They were delaying because it was just flutter, right? They spent the money and built it, yes. But the idea was to lull you into complacency. You can't filter, which meant the tanks, by the way, are sitting there that whole time full of highly radioactive water. And you see, after filtration, this is 9 years later. But you got to go back and realize what took place. All right, so there's one more piece of the puzzle. There's one more piece to the puzzle. This diagram. There's one more piece to the puzzle. There's this one. I apologize for not doing this more, but we've done this a lot. But the story and the facts are more important. Mary Yamaguchi, August the 20th, 2013. You'll have some 1,000 steel tanks. August the 20th, 2013, I got 1,000 steel tanks, but they don't have a filtration system. March the 10th, 2014, Mary Yamaguchi. Stored in 1,200 industrial tanks that have taken over large parts of the plant. 1,200. Very good, very good, very good. November 27, 2017, Mary Yamaguchi. These are all different Mary Yamaguchis, by the way. More than 6 years after the tsunami overwhelmed the Fukushima plant, Japan has yet to reach a consensus what to do with 1 million tons. 1 million tons. Radioactive water stored on site, 900 large tanks. So where'd the other 300 go to? Densely packed tanks. So how did they have room for the other 300 then? That could spill should another major earthquake or tsunami, another earthquake could spill. So the best thing to do is just dump it in the ocean because it could spill. And if you don't agree, you're a terrorist. I like to get up, stand up, and try to walk like that, with your both heels of you on the ground. You don't need a steel plate to stand on. That whole site is covered in steel plates for the homeless and the destitute. That guy's not even there. There's a green screen. Everything you see in there is show and tell. If the tanks were full, your organs would melt being that close. Not only that, you have a chain reaction at the bottom of the tank because it's fuel particulates. You'd be talking about 2 million sieverts in the tank. You're pouring water over a reactor cores, melted reactor cores, and pumping it in the tank, are you? Okay. Excuse me for thinking about science. On 10th of September 2019, Yamaguchi. Japan will have to dump the radioactive water into the Pacific. They got to do it. He's got bad heels. The coastal nuclear plant commonly dumped nuclear water that contains tritium. No, but this is a nuclear meltdown, moron. You shouldn't dump it anyway. Tritium has a 120-year lifespan, for goodness sakes. It occurs in minutes amounts in nature, and massive amounts of nuclear power plants are commonly dump it into the ocean because they don't want to pay for storage. It wouldn't be feasibly economic to have a nuclear power plant if you had to spend all that money on storage. April the 10th, 2021, Associated Press, Mari Yamaguchi. These are all different Mari Yamaguchis, though. It's bizarre, I know. It's true. Yeah. You can trust Yoshida Mashada for that one. Japan to announce Fukushima water release into the sea soon. Oh. April 10th, 2021, Yamaguchi. Stored in 1,000 tanks. Still got 1,000 tanks. Yeah, 1,000 tanks 2013, for goodness sakes. 2021, you still got 1,000 tanks. That's bizarre. You can fill all those tanks up 6 times a day with one reactor if it was working. Mari Yamaguchi. Oh, Mari Yamaguchi. Japan has sought the International Atomic Energy Agency assistance in ensuring the release meets international standards and to gain the understanding of other countries. They gave him a $30 million check on that August the 23rd, 2023, when he showed up, right? The day before they originally announced it. International Atomic Energy Agency, as I showed you earlier, is not a regulatory agency, not in a position to approve or disapprove anything. They're not a regulatory agency. They don't have any sovereignty over any country, for goodness sakes. It's a corporation. The release should be delayed. It's a military-industrial complex. The release should be delayed, said another scientist. That was nice of you. Doesn't matter. The IAEA signed off on it with a fake study. And Japan's the third biggest donor to the International Atomic Energy Agency in 195 signatory countries. Water above 1 siva per hour. Mr. Work has not been done to that day, 2013, because of difficulties. TEPCO done nothing. For 2 years, stopped a highly radioactive water from leak. Have you seen these reactors? Am I just being like picky? Am I just being too picky? Am I saying that calling that thing over there is a leak is dishonest? Is that crazy talk? Oh, crazy talk! Oi! La, 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 la. Let me see here. It said I employ a lot of people. A lot of the nuclear industry's trolls are employed, hanging on my shirt tail, trying to stop anybody from hearing the truth. It's a really interesting, it's a very paranoid industry, eh? You'd be incredibly paranoid to get a job in there. You'd be really low on the totem pole to get a job that you're going to be censoring me. You're at the bottom of that totem pole of shit on top of that. Everybody shits on you, so then it's your turn to shit on Dana. Japan professor 1,000 years from now, the contaminated water, it's going to be, he didn't say leaking. And he was never heard from again. So I counted the barrels because I'm an idiot. And so if you go nuts, let me explain that to you. It takes me a long time to tell a story sometimes. No matter how many times I tell it, I try to find a way to make it seem reasonably. Oh yeah. Oh no, very good. Very good. Am I going to be lazy? I could do this the easier way, right? I'm just going to move myself. So I count these tanks too. They're not massive tanks, okay? But they're counting those small tanks here. They're part of the fable, right? They're part of that fable, right? They count the same as that. Those little small tanks, they count, and those medium-sized tanks over there, I know what to do. I go Bika. So these small tanks, there's many of them there. And these tanks here, which are small, counts the same as those tanks. They're equal in the tally, right? So there's a lot more small tanks, for instance. Like they're small. Where these are big, they're big PME, they're the biggest ones, right? But there's not that many of them in the context of all of these. Well, I guess not bad, big tanks. A lot of small tanks, though, right? These are small. You got 4 right there. Got to count them. Or 7, I'm sorry. I don't know where I'm getting 7. I gave it a 7, okay? Then you got the small tanks up there. They're counted as big tanks. It's a fantasy meant to distract you. Notice how everything is covered in cement? That's not normal. Try to shield the homeless and the destitute. Because people runs away and quits apparently when you see dead people at the nuclear site. Big crybabies. Hey, it's just puking into the ocean. No, it's a leak, Dana. It's puking into the ocean. No, Dana, just shut your mouth. That's a leak. How are you going to rationalize with people that are out there, well, like Arnie Gunnison? Well, there's a little leak there, yeah. They're trying to get it under control. They're going to use sawdust and toothpaste, some glue. 1,000 years from now, it'll still enter into the ocean. It's necessary to keep monitoring it. The Wall Street Journal. Whew. I'm glad you're on the job. That's all I can tell you. We're doomed. Activist groups like Greenpeace believe the water should be stirred long term. Okay, get out of here. Here's your check. And notice how all the media puts links to their PayPal on their sites. They're not controlled at all. And an option rejected by the Japanese government. Oh, that's crazy talk. Officially, there are 2 main options. Evaporation into the environment or discharge it directly into the ocean. Just the cheapest. Can you imagine you got dirty bombs? So what do we do to, this nuclear waste? Where we're going to store it? Well, we're going to build a $1 billion repository because those terrorists we can't have that happening. You go 2,000 miles down the coast, there's a nuclear meltdown. What are you going to do? We're going to dump it in the ocean, all of it, for 1,000 years. Betrayal is absurd. They love showing you these pictures. A big tank, Dana. There's 1,000 of them over there. Yeah. Oh, okay. They got the Alps water in it, Dana. And another crazy story now they're dismantling these highly radioactive tanks. Well, first they're sandblasting them. People, the homeless, destitute, which is simply not true. If it was highly radioactive, you can't dismantle it. You can't, and they're cutting it up with torches. I actually done that for a living when I was younger. It was a brutal job. 12 hours a day working a cutting torch. That was good though. My boss said that if I didn't stop setting myself on fire, he was going to hire a guy to watch me full time with a fire extinguisher. As I had the record for one day there. I think it was 4 times I set my fireproof overalls on fire. Yeah, it could have been on purpose. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm saying it was. The International Atomic Energy, I can spray molten steel like 30, 35 feet. So when your supervisors are coming by, you got to make them skip to get out of the way. International Atomic Degenerate Agency says those options are viable. Boil it off or dump it into the ocean. These are maniacs. These are nuclear meltdowns. They're just absolutely hateful people. There's lots of them. Each day between 4,000 and 5,000 people pass through the Fukushima plant. Why? How? Where? What? What are you doing with all those paper suits every day? There's a lot of paper suits every day. That's a lot of paper suits. Put your paper suit in the basket. Put the lotion in the bucket. It puts this lotion on its skin. Or it gets the water. Each day between 4,000 and 5,000 people pass through the Fukushima Daiichi plant. Okay. We had 36 reactor cores detonate. You haven't got that. You couldn't find that many homeless people. What are you going to do at a nuclear meltdown? What's 4,000 or 5,000 homeless people besides dropping dead? Well, there is some strange stuff. Machines kept breaking. The humans kept breaking. All worked out in the end. Taxpayers had to pay for everything. Four to 5,000 workers passed through the Fukushima Daiichi plant. Most of them employees or subcontractors of TEPCO. I can guarantee you none of them were employees of TEPCO. At the height of the difficult ice wall construction, the number was 8,000 people. 6,000 of them were working underwater, issue, they said. This is how big it really was. And they were desperate to cover it up. But what they didn't realize, because it's very unprecedented when it happened, was the world was too stupid to even give a shit 2 weeks later. They stopped paying attention. And eventually they bought off everybody. Remember, an International Atomic Energy Agency is not a regulatory agency. They're not in a position to approve or disapprove anything nuclear. The workers have jobs ranging from the construction of tanks to the removal of spent fuel using remote control cranes. They weren't removing any with remote control cranes. It's absurd to suggest they were. This is a 2009 anniversary video. See? 4,000 to 5,000 workers. They're stoic. They had their little bottle of sake. They were supposed to get $1,100 US a day. That's what was located for the employees' wage. Dangerous job, right? Wage. They were only getting $11 a day US. So do you think this was academics or scientists or scholars or nuclear companies, or do you think this was the homeless and the destitute, and then they were the people that were in charge of it were keeping the money? They were paying them $11 a day if they were lucky. If they didn't steal that from food and board, many of them were in debt after they had their dose. They were disposed of like paper towels. If they had heat exhaustion or something, they were thrown away. Others are there to manage the incredible logistics involved in supply, supervision, disposal of protective gear. Well, there's your question, Dana. Nah. That's only because I hounded them 2 years before that. They actually came out and said they burnt 7,000 paper suits every day. Every single day. The workers have jobs ranging from construction of tanks and the removal of spent fuel. There is no removal of the spent fuel. First place is Fukushima 50 for last week's public movie, first week reserved access rating, top 5. Now, I left a comment on their official IBM, whatever it is, movie site. And it never got approved. I got a number for it. They never said it was rejected. They never said if you changed it, we'll post it. Nothing. No reply. First place, Fukushima 50. I guess somebody got a big kickback for cutting me out. Sell their souls to anybody, man. Fukushima 50. That is a fantasy. That is the most bizarre thing. A non-fiction. It's completely fiction. Everything they're saying is completely untrue on top of that. When you come here and watch my stuff, you go over and watch that stuff, you're ashamed to look at movies again. A journalist. He said, I think I was able to know the truth by watching the movie. I think I was able to know the truth by watching the movie. Oh, well, a lot of people fell for that one, right? These are all movies. So the media put a video saying, here we are on top of Reactor 4. They don't show you that picture. The central government designating such plots as disaster danger zones, making them inadvisable for living. Municipalities in Iwate, Miyagi, Fukushima are looking for new ways to utilize them, ranging from solar power, tomato farming in a nuclear wasteland, sheep tourism. Yeah, what kind of sheep tourism we're talking about there, buddy? I don't want to know. Keep it to yourself. According to the press survey in December, covering 26 municipalities that adopted the program, authorities have purchased 2,000 hectares of abandoned nuclear wasteland, and with 73%, almost 1,466 hectares, had already been put to use or are scheduled to be. Grown tomatoes. A newly built farm, also Miyagi, has become a place where residents and tourists can interact in a nuclear wasteland. I'd say that's some magic right there. That's what would happen right there. The farm attracted some 30,000 sheep molesters in the fiscal 2018. It became popular on weekends for elderly nuclear executives. This place should be utilized rather than abandoned, said Stupid. I'm sorry, that was his brother's name, said Idiot. We need to make more efforts to attract people, said Monster, pointing to the difficulties reinvigorating areas where people are no longer able to reside. We call them nuclear wastelands, places where people can't reside, nuclear wastelands, tomato, what the fuck? A tomato cultivation facility can monitor temperatures and humidity around the clock in a nuclear wasteland built by a local agricultural nuclear wasteland company on 3.2 hectare plot. Produce 50 tons of tomato a month, 50 tons of nuclear food a month. Distribute them all the way 240 kilometers away to Tokyo and surrounding areas. 36 million people. Cancer in a basket. This is kooky. Company seeks support of foreign interns. I despise that stuff, eh? Support of foreign interns. Restrictions on shipments due to the incident at the Fukushima nuclear plant. The incident to the incident. Nuclear, 80% of the residents evacuated from Fukushima have not always returned home. What does that even mean? 80% of the residents evacuated from a nuclear wasteland have not always returned home. He should get a job with Reuters, that guy. We always get an A. Fukushima strives to prove food safety before Tokyo Games. So Fukushima food always gets an A. A for assault. It assaults your immune system for the rest of your life. Staff at the Fukushima Serial Killer Center, Technology Center. Knives are wheeled in silence as chunks of meat are sliced up and placed in container. Being completed without a hitch. In an adjacent room, the containers are placed inside machines to be tested for radionuclide. What? It's in cesium, eh? You got some cesium in that, I think you know. It's a British terminology, cesium, with an A. When you see with an A, you know it's a public relation firm. And they have, whoever it is most likely Geraldine Thomas or somebody. Every sample shows radiation level within national safety standards. Yeah, we keep rising it. So it's always safe. So they're checking the food before they give it to the Olympian. Oh, no, why would you do that? Why would you go to that extreme? That's desperation and overdrive. Look at that! It's clean! Tested for the radionuclide cesium. What about plutonium? Oh, Sakade. These daily rituals are central to a testing regime that officials in Wacko Land Prefecture says, proves that the reaching product is safe to eat 9 years after the nearby, that's not a word you should be using, nearby, plant suffer meltdowns at 3 of its reactors. All but destroying the local brand. 3 of its reactors, you say? You sure reactor 4 didn't go? No. Just ask USA, Europe, Australia journalists. Journalists say it's all good. They ain't a liar. Right, I'm an outcast because I show you that picture and ask you the question of one of these pictures don't belong with the other. Can you guess which one? For that, madness. I'm hated, feared, and scorned. Is it so much to ask Greenpeace and Sea Shepherd to tell the world the food chain is gone and whales and you were next? Well, they brought in a couple of heavy hitters, I see. Yeah, dirty rats. Shouldn't Greenpeace, with all kinds of money, and Sea Shepherd have already done all of this? They could have done 10 times better than me. They could have got all the nuclear experts and lawyers. They could have pushed the story out there. They could have said, oh, and by the way, they're faking being on top of that building, so why do you think they're doing that? Let's ask the whales. Oh, well, we can't. If we don't ask the whales in 2 years, you won't be asking the whales jack shit. They're not dying of radiation poisoning worldwide of starvation because the food chain is broken. They're dying because they're on a hunger strike. Because they want small modular reactors, right? So they're willing to starve themselves to death, whales worldwide, until the world gives them small modular reactors. You can actually get a public relations firm who dress that up and put that out there, and everybody would start buying into it and sign petitions. Yeah. Stop the whales from starving by getting more small modular reactors. Will you sign the petition? Yes, my darling. Yes, my ducky. Yes, my love. We'll get that signed for you. Producers are preparing to demonstrate their recovery on the biggest stage in the world sport, the Olympics. Wasn't so big, was it? That was just disgusting. That was the very last place that they should have had the Olympics in Japan, of all places. The most undeserving of any people on the planet is Japan to get something like that. By the way, the Olympics is despicable. An organizing committee official confirmed this week that products from the area affected, nuclear wastelands, including nuclear wasteland Fukushima, would be served at the athletes' village. The agricultural center tests as many as 200 samples of different food a day for radiation, Dana. They got agricultural safety promotion department, Fukushima prefectural government there, but the farmers got to check the rice themselves before it's shipped to market. I gotcha. These are lunatics, eh? We always receive an A grade. You get more radiation anywhere else besides the nuclear wasteland, as far as the industry is concerned, every time, too. You see, after 36 reactor cores blew up, its food safety standards are one of the most stringent in the world. Yeah, it's a nuclear wasteland. Yeah, we picked up 30 million one-ton bags. Yeah, we covered it all up. And the United States and Europe raised their limits that week, right, of Fukushima. The government set upper limits for radioactive cesium with an A in ordinary foodstuffs such as meat and vegetables is 100 becquerels. Well, in the first year it was 500 becquerels, and Europe and the United States raised theirs to 1,250 Europe and 1,200 atoms a kilogram United States. I mean, that's ruthless. That's just stupid. And that's emblematic of this nuclear industry. It hates humans. It's a exterminist mentality, right? No meat goes to market without being tested. No meat goes to market without being incredibly radioactive. If we didn't do that, meat was found to be above the limit. So yeah, no, it's got radiation, but it's below the new limit we cooked up. Before that, it was 0.1 atom per kilogram. Now it's 100,000 times higher. But like, if you're only going to look for cesium, you should lose your degree right away. if you're a government official, you should be in jail for the rest of your lives. In the 9 years since the disaster, not one beef sample has exceeded the safety standards. These are not safety standards. These are monstrous. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say something really rude. While local farmers struggle to counter harmful rumors, how can it be a harmful rumor if it's in a nuclear wasteland that you abandoned? You spent $48 billion picking up 1-ton bags, but now it's a harmful rumor. Because a few administrations later, they're so detached from the reality. They set their own testing regime imposing an upper limit of 50 atoms a kilogram on fruit. No, you move out of there. You don't stay there. We tested every single fruit, even now, says the wacko. Each one is packed, given a quality control sticker, showing its radiation rating before being sold, Northeast Japan, Tokyo, and Osaka. Some local sellers asked us if it was really necessary to have stickers after 9 years. Local fruit sellers are not typically scholars. Japan to release the nuke-tainted, not nuclear meltdown contaminated, but nuke-tainted, which is like why isn't it such a dimly lit area? How can you be so busy and dimly? You got lots of tarps. What are you doing with all these tarps? You got to hide everything in it's a dimly lit area. Did I mention it was dimly lit? Oh yeah, dimly lit. In this dimly lit, 3 lines of equipment connected to pipes snaking around in the dimly lit, sprawling facility, dimly lit, with tarps everywhere. And you got brand new, spanking, shiny Gore-Tex suits on. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? Now, if these hoses were used, workers in hazmat suits monitor radioactive water pumped from 3 damaged reactors. So you're going to monitor the water. The hoses are so radioactive, just being in proximity is going to melt your organs in about 20 minutes. Even if you let all the water out of it, you still can't pick up the hose. And that's an old hose you got there. That's not a new hose, that's an old hose. Look at the camera. No, at the camera. Look at the camera. Okay, that's good. Okay. Get out of here. You already got your dose for today. 3 damaged reactors. 3 damaged reactors. Damaged. Damaged. Like me. I'm damaged. See that? Does that look like he's damaged? Just the worst people, man. A journalist, he writes a paragraph and then he goes on vacation on a worldwide cruise for 6 months because you make a fortune being a monster. Oh, he's a journalist. Who's you going to believe? Are you going to believe the journalist or Dana? Believe Dana, you're fucking something wrong with you. You got to believe the journalist. You can't believe me. I'm not a journalist. I can't be a journalist. I'm saying the wrong things. I'm saying it's not real. The journalists are saying it's real. So when both of these pictures are the official pictures, you're not allowed to talk about that one. You're only allowed to talk about this one. You know it's right, because when you look at how many people are watching my videos, 10 people. Right, everybody comes shitting on me. 29% says no. Greenpeace. Why would Greenpeace need to be involved? Why weren't they? What was wrong with them? Why wasn't Sea Shepherd, stoic Paul Watson, why weren't they out there going to bat for us? This was their moment to shine. This was the moment to make a stand. 15 years of moments wasted. 15. It's not too late, Sea Shepherd. It's not too late, Greenpeace. Can you blame me for being rude, for being arrogant, for being rejecting you for what you've been doing and haven't done, should have done, and could have done, would have done if you were any sincerity? Instead, you're just evil. You're being put on a pedestal to trick people, and that's your shining moment. That's what you tell all your friends. Your friends say, "Wow, you're working for Greenpeace. You must be the real environmentalist." And you're like, "Yes, I am. Yeah, we done some great stuff." No, you didn't. You fucking liar. You fake fuck. You bullshitter. You moron. You piece of shit. You coward. You fucking gaslighting fuck. Telling your friends you're something when you're nothing. When you're the worst thing that ever happened to them. 3 lawns of equipment connects to pipes snaking around and dimly lit. Which is such a strange. Dimly lit. How come? They're all doing nothing. Look at him. But he's got old hose in his hands. No, I'm not talking about his wife. I said he's got old hose in his hands. Get your mind out of the gutter. Let's look at this. Let's inspect this. Look at the fucking duct tape on this stuff. Look at the wire on it. That's an old hose. Look how, right, so, like, when you look at this, you can see that, what's the word for it? Like, that's a really old hose. It's like a vacuum line, I think that's what that is. And then look at this hose. You can see the dirt embedded into, right, you see the different color shades? That's dirt embedded into, right, because it's like a accordion type stuff. All different colors. These are lunatics, boy. I got some guy over there, barely see him. This guy here. These guys, they're not doing anything. They're not looking at nothing. So it's mostly staged. They're just green screen or something. They just slipped them in there. And if that hose was used to pump water to one of the tanks from the bottom of the reactor buildings, that's a lethal dose to be carrying in his arms. Doesn't matter how good his a pair of gloves he got on or a pair of socks he got on. Dimly lit. Why would he even put that there? I wonder. I was wondering about that. 1.2 million tons of still radioactive water being closely watched by the government and organizations all around the world, where additional tanks are still being built. And huge tanks will be completely full by the summer of 2022. Never had no filtration. It was all filled up. Like, I can play the video for you. They were all filled up. In 2013. So then where were they storing all the water for all those years? That is an important question. That is the right question. I'm running out of questions. I wasn't supposed to be going this long. Why am I still going? I should give it up. Bum 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 bum. Yeah, I'm going to play this clip and then this is a good clip, an important clip. And
Fukushima plant sits smack in the middle of an underground aquifer. Deep beneath the ground, the site is rapidly being overwhelmed by water.
Water.
Beneath the surface, water flows downhill and into the basement of the damaged reactor buildings. There it is contaminated with high levels of radiation. To stop the groundwater flowing on into the nearby ocean, engineers are building an underground barrier. But that is causing the groundwater level to rapidly rise. It's now so high the water will soon reach the surface. Then it will start flowing overground into the sea. This week, the company that owns Fukushima, TEPCO, made this disturbing admission.
This is TEPCO.
We understand that this water discharge is beyond our control, and we do not think the current situation is good.
We understand the water is beyond their control. forgot.
We understand that this water discharge is beyond our control, and we do not think the current situation is good.
Well, like, when you're talking about 4 reactors in a row, like just say that reactor 2 didn't melt down. If it doesn't get its drink of water, which is an absurd amount, each day, the pressure builds to enormous temperatures. So it's going to melt through, or it's going to explode from the extra pressure. They're already at 1,000 pounds per square inch, for instance. And so I kind of missed out. Let me go backwards just to make sure I cover my bases before we give it up. Go back to this guy right there. That's typical. They're out of control in 2013. Oh, this is 2013.
And we do not think the current situation is good.
Outside experts say it's now clear TEPCO is incapable of handling the cleanup at Fukushima. It's time for the Japanese government to step in. The situation is already beyond what TEPCO can handle, he says. If it were possible to take proper measures, they would have done it already. It's not as if TEPCO is refusing to do what they can. They're doing everything they can, but there are no perfect solutions. Even if the government does step in, it's not clear what it can do. The only other solution is to pump out the contaminated groundwater and put it in storage tanks. But after just 2 years, the site is already jammed with more than 1,000 giant tanks. Most of them are already full up. At least 400 tons of new water pours into the site every day, and it's going to continue for years and years. Fukushima's water crisis has only just begun. Rupert Wingfield-Hayes, BBC News in Tokyo.
And Rupert Wingfield-Hayes, of course, as you know, said he was on top of reactor 4. Clearly he wasn't. Same year. He also said all the tanks were full in 2013, over 1,000 of them, right? All right. Tickle pink, we got 5 days punched in a row. I was wondering if I still had it in me. Every day I'm getting a bit stronger. That's good. That's good enough. I was only expecting at best an hour at night and a long, long day. That's okay. It was a great show. It's another reminder for those with a conscience that we still hold the high ground. We still have the moral compass. We still have that. We still have an opportunity to make the world a better place. So when you see this recent videos that we done yesterday of all these emaciated whales, and there were so many more, all of them severely starved to death. All the whales severely starved to death. All of them. I can't ignore that. I won't ignore that. I'll be damned if I ignore that. I'll be damned. We're going to close here. We're going to play Nuclear Overton Window. And we'll see you on the next show. Where the hell am I? Oh, okay. It looks like I got pounded. 32 says no. Desperation, if you ask me. Hugs for everybody. Have a great night.
Those who decide told us there was no alternative. They said the demand was fixed. They said reliability needs scale, and scale won't wait. They said firm power, constant power. Said the future needs it now. They called it a renaissance. Said the decision was already made. They said delay was danger. They said review was over. This is how the nuclear Overton window began to narrow. Those who decide talked about solutions, talked about schedules, but not about keeping what remains when the generation ends. They talked about storage for now, they talked about fixes ahead. They said the process was technical, not ours. They didn't talk about the horizon, they didn't name who stays accountable. The nuclear Overton window never held the long term. Asking slowed things down, then caution cost too much. Consent became friction, so it was pushed aside. The nuclear Overton window moved again, from open debate to settled position. Rules were shortened, reviews rushed. Governance turned into something to move through. The window didn't shatter, the push continues. Here stands the nuclear Overton window, not cracked, not broken, held open on purpose. Not a future to keep reopening, not a decision to keep revisiting. This must be decided, this must be carried, this must not be passed forward without an end in sight. Remember this moment, the nuclear Overton window must close. Not paused, not deferred, entered into practice with consent. This should not remain unresolved. This is what we must remember. This is what we must remember.